here on these online classes, I wanted to work more specifically on the core today. And in order to work with the core, I feel like we need to have a little conversation first, so that we fully understand what we're doing when we are moving, expressing, igniting core, and what my particular style of practice of yoga is influenced by. So I have come to my particular style of yoga through two different avenues. One of them is through dance and my understanding of pressing into the earth and moving from the powerful grounded push into the earth in my dance practice, and also in my yoga practice. So I've been influenced by a particular sort of burgeoning field of anatomy that has been pioneered by a man named Thomas Myers, who himself has been influenced by all kinds of masterful teachers, but who has kind of mapped out the myofascial anatomy, that being the connective tissue that weaves and integrates our body. So it wraps the muscles, the joints, the ligaments throughout our entire body, wraps the organs as well. But the particular myofascial anatomy that I'm interested in my yoga flow and in my teaching is the deep front line. The deep front line, if you've heard me go over this before, because you've taken my classes at Green Room Yoga, you can just press pause or fast forward or do whatever you want, or listen to it again, because sometimes we hear it anew if we listen to it again. So the deep front line originates, like a lot of the myofascial lines, or as Thomas Myers calls them, anatomy trains, from the foot. So it begins at the sole of the foot and travels up the center of your shin bone, becomes your adductors, your inner thighs, comes up through your pelvic floor, up the front of your pelvis here, the hip flexors, the iliopsoas, sweeps up the front sides of your lumbar spine, your low back spine, as the psoas, and then also sweeps up the back sides of your lumbar spine as the quadratus lumborum, which some people neglect to mention. So there's just also this back component of the deep front line. And then it continues on up through the diaphragm, sweeps around the diaphragm, and continues up through your deep neck muscles, your scalenes, which is the sort of front sides of your neck, and then ends at your tongue root and at the very top of your jaw here at the temples. So the top of your core line expresses itself out at the tongue. So every time we go, we are igniting that core, that inner channel of energy. And then every time we press and push down into our feet, we are activating that core line as well. Now the problem is that core line, well, the problem, there isn't really a problem, but for some people it's difficult to access that core of the core, the psoas, which I mentioned, which wraps up the front sides of your lumbar, because you can't feel it. It's really deep, it's behind all your organs in this lower belly area, and it's hard to feel. It does what it does, and we don't know how to access it. But what I have found through the particular style of yoga that I have practiced is that you can access that core of your core at any point along that myofascial line, and especially with the press and the push into the earth, and especially with this activating pelvic floor squeeze and lift that you do on the exhales. So if you've taken any of the videos before, you've seen that exhale squeeze, pelvic floor lift activates and lifts the energy of the earth up through your deep front line and into the psoas, and lifts and lengthens space and lightness all the way up your spine and all the way out to the top of your head. So The other thing you might have noticed if you've been taking these videos or you take classes with me is that my particular style is really bendy. And the reason for that is that I believe that if we bend and soften and yield toward the earth, toward the foundation, we can get a more active and intentional press into the earth. And every time we press into the earth, we get a ground reaction force from the earth itself springing up and into our body. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the earth and the core of the earth literally, not figuratively, presses up and back and into you. So when you get this yield and bend and push, you are activating that deep core connection that you have to the world that you're in, the place that you're in. So it's a circuit of energy. So your core, the earth's core, are moving together. So let's begin without further ado on our hands and knees to activate the core. So you can come to the tops of your feet, pressing your palms into the mat actively. So all the fingertips are pressing, the pads of your fingers are pressing. And then take your elbows and wrap them toward the back of your mat, drawing the shoulder blades actively around and onto your rib cage there, creating space and width across your collarbones. And then reach and lengthen out through the spine evenly on all sides. So out through the crown, out through the tail. And without collapsing down into the lumbar spine and pressing out there, or rounding and tucking the tailbone and rounding out the lumbar spine, find your natural lumbar curve. Let it draw into the body, top of the sacrum, and the lumbar sweep in. And then gather in through the front of your spine there. You're going to bend your elbows, get closer to the earth, get this yield toward the earth, and then actively press down as you curl up into your cat back. Hang your head, try not to tuck chin, just let it hang there. And feel that lift, reach and wrap around the upper back and across the back of your arms. Good, so inhale to open, elbows stay bent, so you can get this active press. On the exhale, the limbs straighten, you curl that energy up toward the back of your heart. By squeezing up through the pelvic floor, you're lifting and opening, expanding more on that exhale. And then as you exhale, you're curling and you're pressing, but try not to tuck the tailbone. Just keep the pelvis neutral and feel this curving action and arcing action in the mid-back. This is the part of our spine that actually curves in that direction a little bit more easier, as opposed to curving and tucking from here in order to activate the core. So inhale, arch, and exhale, curl. A few more times, find your breath, space, your rhythm. Active push with fingertips helps to kind of take the load off your wrist there. And one more time, inhale, and come back to center. So stabilizing at the core of your core, the psoas, means not so much that we contract and we hug into, navel into spine, and things that you hear about hugging the front ribs in and contracting and curling in. That doesn't necessarily engage the psoas and engage that spinal support in a healthy way for your low back. So instead, keep your lumbar curve sweeping into the body, and place for a moment your hands, you can come off your hands and knees here. Place for a moment your hands, spread them wide, pinky finger on the top of your front pelvic bones there, so your as is, your anterior superior iliac spine, not that you need to know that, and your thumbs right here on the bottom of your rib cage. And then inhale, expand it, and as you exhale, squeeze up through your pelvic floor and see if you can feel some tone kind of coming in diagonally from the top front pelvic bones back in toward the navel. And the bottom front ribs just kind of naturally sink down, not down and in and curling in, but just relax down. You might feel some space spreading and lifting up the back of your ribs. So it's an inhale and expand, and an exhale, squeezing up from the pelvic floor. This whole sideways move inward. The navel moves inward and then upward. So it doesn't just move back toward the spine, but it moves upward from the pelvic floor. Imagine it's like a spring pulling that energy upward. The pressure from the earth's core lifting up and into your body and lifting that space. So back on hands and knees. So you can keep that firming sideways, coming inward, navel reaching inward and upward. And then take your right leg back behind you, lift and lengthen it, no higher than your pelvis, so the back of the heel in line with your pelvis there, and see if you can keep your hips level. So tendencies are, when we're weak in that area of the body, or when we're building strength in there, is to kind of lean, default into your hip, or kind of drop that lifted leg a little bit. See if you can keep your hips level as though you were still on your two knees. And you can notice what's happening here with your hands. If you're leaning a lot toward one hand, just notice. See if you can keep your hand pressure nice and even as well. Hugging your belly and reach long through the crown of your head and out through the sole of your foot. Activating those toes will activate your deep core line. And then reach your opposite arm forward. Try not to lock the elbow straight, which lifts the shoulder up around the ear, keep some space there, keep the elbow bent, and just actively reach out through your fingertips to lengthen through that line of energy out through the crown of your head and your fingers. Now you can place this hand down, because the next part is challenging, so if this is too much for you, hand comes down. Otherwise, exhale, pull knee to chest, curl your left fist back beside your hip here, and hug in and up through that navel toward the back of your heart, pressing down strongly with the right palm. Inhale and lengthen, and exhale and curl. Inhale and lengthen, and exhale and curl. Pulling that energy up through the navel, not thinking of tucking so much. Keep going with your breath. Inhale to expand, and exhale to curl in. One more time, inhale and exhale. Good, inhale and lengthen. Exhale and place the hand down. Tuck your toes down and take a little stretch for your deep back muscles, part of your core line, your quadratus lumborum. Spin the right heel to the floor there as though you're standing on that right foot fully. You are standing on it. And then spin your left shin a little bit and stretch your hips back. Stand out through the right fingertips, lengthen. You should feel this wrapping stretch around your side and back, and even into the inner thigh there a bit. And then come back to center. Yeah, if you feel a lot in your wrists, or you're just kind of straining a little bit too much, or dumping down into the wrists and shoulders, just give yourself a moment to squeeze that out, and then come back onto your hands and knees. And set those fingertips nice and strongly, hands shoulder distance. Breathe, hug in so that pelvic floor lifts and engages. You should feel that bounce length up your spine, both knees pressing underneath your hips, hip distance. And then take your left leg back behind you, reaching out with an active reach out through your heel. Draw your belly in, try not to sink, try not to lean into the opposite hip, hugging in. Good. And extend for a moment out through the opposite arm. So you can roll the palm and fingers, thumb up, find that length out through your fingers without locking elbows straight, without jamming up with your shoulder around your ear. So take another big breath here, place the hand down, and do this next one without the arm if you need to. Otherwise, on your exhale, curling in, knee to chest, pressing down but strongly with the opposite arm, and inhale, lengthen, exhale, curl. Nice forceful exhale. You can breathe out through your mouth even. Inhale through the nose and exhale. Stick your tongue out even, get fierce with it. Activating that deep core contraction into center. And hugging that powerful core connection from the earth up and into your body. One more time. Extend, lengthen for a moment. and then place the hand down. Place your left foot down, spin the heel to the floor, step the foot wider if you need to, spin the back, shin, bottom shin, and then take your hands diagonally, so the left fingertips reach diagonally as you stretch back with your hips and lengthen to open some space around that side, lengthen that wrist as well. Big breath. And come back to center. Now again, you can sit back on your heels here, squeeze out your hands, your wrists. You can always do the next one on forearms, or if you have 2 blocks or 2 big encyclopedias, you can use those. You can bring the floor up to put your forearms on the block, or you stay on your hands. And we'll come back into this long, supported lumbar spine, squeezing in and up through the pelvic floor without sinking, without rounding, without collapsing around the shoulders. Reach tall out through all sides of your spine, pressing evenly into your palms. Reach your right leg back. This time we're going to lift it up a little bit higher. You can keep the knee bent, so you're activating the glutes, which also support the lumbar and the pelvis from the back. So inhale, lift. And then on your exhale, bring it into center again. Curl up toward the back of your heart as you press down with your hands. Inhale and lengthen. And then exhale, take it wide toward the upper right arm there. Good. So we're getting into the side waist abdominals, the obliques there. Inhale and lengthen. And then take it across toward the left elbow. And then inhale up. Curl it into your chest. Inhale, reach back. See this little bend. And straighten with my elbows. And then across toward the opposite elbow. Doesn't need to touch. Curl in. Exhale, take it to the right elbow. Exhale, take it to the left. One more time if you can. Forceful exhale. Good, so you're getting that sense of pushing down into the earth to activate that power and pull it up into your body. So yes, you are powerful. It's in you, but it's also outside of you. And if you become more aware, more intentional with your connection to that power that exists in your environment, in this world, in this Mother Earth, this planet that holds and supports you, and realize the power in that dance, in that exchange, you will amp up your core strength super, super quickly. Okay, back to hands and knees. Other side. Take your left leg back. Press up through the heel there to activate your glutes. Try not to lean or sink. And then on your exhale, a little bend of the elbows first. Press the arms straighter as you curl knee to chest. And then inhale, lengthen. And then take it out wide toward the left elbow. And inhale, lengthen and lift. And then take it out and across toward the right. And then so moving with your breath's pace. Exhaling as you hug in powerfully from the earth. You press down with your hands. And you curl up through the mid-back. Inhaling as you lengthen the leg, and exhaling as you take it forward. One more time. And then back to center and rest it down. You can roll your wrists out, you can shake your arms out. You can squeeze down the forearms, down the wrists. Good, shake it out. Let it go. Roll the shoulders back. Take another big breath. Fully relaxing here, down into your belly. Feel that. Breath expand all the way into the pelvis, the low back, sides of your ribs. And then on your exhale, squeeze the pelvic floor, pull the navel back. And see if you can feel your tailbone just kind of dropping a little longer. You're not tucking it. It's just releasing some length that balances up through your lumbar spine, your low back spine, and all the way out the top of your head. So another big breath. And exhale. Good, and then bring your hands back to the mat. We're coming back to downward facing dog. So walk your wrists forward of your shoulders. Set your fingertips nice and strong and hands wide. Tuck your toes. Arching to open the front of your chest here, reaching back with your sitting bones. This is also that physics press, that ground reaction, force and action right here. So we yield, we soften toward the earth, and then on your exhale, you press, you pull your navel in, pull the knees up off the floor, nice and strong. Then lower the knees down, inhale, arch and open. And exhale, pull everything in nice and strong, hover the knees off the floor. Inhale, and then as you press down with your hands and your tucked toes, you're gathering that strength up and into your body. One more time, lower the knees down, inhale. Exhale, pull in, swish your knees one way, little trick there. Switch your knees the other way, come back to center, lower knees down, inhale, arch and open. Exhale, come back up, little sort of mini down dog here or plank pose. Swishing your knees from side to side, getting into the sideways, the abdominals, the obliques there. And then back to center, lower the knees down, inhale. One last time, exhale, pull strongly up from the earth and slide your hips back to your downward facing dog. In down dog, just fully release the weight of the head, let it hang with gravity. Keep the knees as bent as you need to, and feet as wide as you need to, so you can keep that lumbar curve drawing into the body, not round it and press up. Keep hugging in through that front body wave as you exhale. And finding that length even here, out through the crown of your head as you exhale. Good. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit more fierce with it, moving a little bit faster. Nice, placing the palms nice and strong. Staying soft with those knees, so you can get a little bounce as you push down with your feet. You're lifting up with the sitting bones. Bending the elbows even, so you get a little bounce through the arms. Lengthen your leg, lift your right leg up. Exhale, pull knee to chest, curl it in. Press down with the hands. You can do this with left knee down as we did before. Inhale, lift up, take the right knee out wide. Inhale, lift up and lengthen. Take the right knee across. Take it back to center, lift and lengthen. Exhale, pull it strongly into your chest. Step your foot down behind your right thumb. Center your hips. Make sure your stance is hip distance. Bend the back knee and back off your hips. Again, that's about creating that space for the lumbar curve to sink into the body, to free up the space for your pelvis to move here so you can stay in alignment with your connection to the earth, down through your feet and up through that deep core line. Pressing into the earth softly, very, very slight roll, just to soften the head and the top of the shoulders as you come up through that powerful front body connection. Lift your arms, inhale. Exhale, make fists. Breathe out through your mouth if that feels good, if you're getting hot like I am. Stick your tongue out. There's a cooling breath, detoxing. And those exhales are actually, once you get hot and your heart rate goes up, are actually the way we burn fat, weirdly enough. One more time. Inhale, lift up. And then take your stance into this wide-legged temple pose. So your feet are on the same plane as your kneecaps. So have a look at your kneecaps and bring those toes onto the same line as your kneecaps. So we never want to twist at the knee joint. The knee joint only moves in one direction. So we're going to keep it nice and centered over your toes. And then take your hips back, take your knees back so they're over your heels more. So you have some space to find that push down into the earth, into your heels, into the ball of the foot, and then sweep it up through the front of your body, lifting and lengthening and widening the back of your rib cage as you do so. Inhale, open your heart chest, arching like cat-cow. And then exhale, curl and stick your tongue out. Pull up through the pelvic floor. Pull that navel up as to touch the bottom of your heart. And then inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale, open. Pressing down with your feet. Pull that first core up into your core. One more time. Good. Inhale, lift everything up. Take your toes back to center. Good. Spin your front toes, right toes toward the front. Soften those arms, relax those shoulders, find balance for a moment. Good. And then take a little side stretch, arching and opening as you soften And open this right side. Take a big breath into that right side and then spin your hands down. Step back into your downward facing dog. And a little softening, get closer to the earth, even the elbows can bend. Exhale, squeeze up through the pelvic floor, roll that energy out through the crown of your head. You're in a plank position, shoulders stay lifted, belly stays lifted, and then lower the knees down. I'm going to keep the shoulders on your back, your belly hugged in, and then find your way down through knees to pubic bone to navel, last. Keep those shoulders lifted the whole time. Draw belly in, sweep on the exhale, just because that's when we naturally contract. So find that contraction, that squeeze inward, and then just add a little intention to it, a little powerful core connection to it. Squeezing in and out through the pelvic floor, hug the belly in, press down with the hands, and remember to pull that energy from the hands as well through the core of your arms and out to the crown of your head. Shoulders stay back and lifted. You don't need to rise that far to feel core connected. You might just be right here, but pressing down into the earth. Keep lifting up through this pelvic floor area, squeezing that energy up the spine to lengthen through your lumbar curve. One more time. And then relax and wave your heart forward. Take a moment strongly to help yourself back to child pose and rest. You can sway from side to side. You can rest your arms at your side. Just want to make sure your forehead is on the floor and you're not keeping it hovering off the floor here. You're going to be able to sink the hips back toward the heels. They don't need to touch, but forehead remains on the floor. And if it doesn't touch, stack palms, stack fists. Give yourself a little release along the neck and the shoulders. One more deep breath. And then sliding your arms out in front of you, stay lifted with those armpits. We're not dumping down into the shoulder and hanging off the back of the neck there. Keep that alignment as you draw yourself into your downward facing dog. Tuck toes, sitting bones back. Inhale, and then exhale. Pull up strongly from the navel. Slide back. Heels don't need to touch. They're just reaching toward the floor to open to the backs of the legs. Knees can remain bent. Nice strong grip with those fingertips. And a nice strong even pressure down through the ring of the palm. Walking in place. Even bouncing if you like. Releasing tension, whichever way works for you. And then with a little bend, yield toward the earth. Bring your left leg back behind you. Stay level with your hips. Take a big breath. Exhale, pull knee to chest. See how I'm bending my elbows. And then as I exhale and pull the knee up, I press the arm straighter. Then inhale and lengthen. Gathering that strength from the earth and the arms out toward the upper left arm. Inhale, out toward the right elbow across the body there. Inhale back up and exhale, knee to chest. Step your foot behind your left wrist so your stance is hip distance. Your back heel's lifted, back knee bends. Slide the hips back. Keep that lumbar curve in. Hug up through the front of the lumbar. Pull the belly up off the thighs there for a moment. And then as you press down into the earth, find some yielding, some softening up through the back of the shoulders and the neck. Unravel your head last, lift your arms. Good. And then we're going to come into temple pose the other way. So kneecaps and toes on the same line. I'll turn to face you. Kneecaps and toes, hips back. Hands planted strongly on your thighs. And you can press down into the thighs, get a little bit more traction through your lumbar spine. Want to keep those knees back over your heels and really push with your heels to activate that core connection through the inner thighs, up through the pelvic floor, up through the psoas. It sweeps up the front sides of your lumbar and all the way up through your spine. So inhale, remembering the tongue is the top of your core. Take a big breath. Inhale and stick your tongue out. And feel that fire, breath of fire coming out of you. So that deep core connection, igniting the flame at the source, at your core, at your truth, whatever that is for you. Express it out. One more time. And then bring your arms up nice and long. And then taking your left toes toward the front of your mat, coming into a warrior two. The back toes point straight out to the side. You're fully pressing into the outer edge of that back foot. Want to make sure your kneecap and your toes are on the same line, even with this back leg here. Front knee is just behind the heel or over it. Expand and lengthen out through your arms evenly. Draw that length from the earth up through your legs evenly. Feel your pelvis even between your feet here. Even if the back knee needs to bend, that's fine. Find your warrior two. Take a breath here. And then relax the back arms. Circle down closer to the earth. Get that yield, that juicy bend. And then pull that earth's core strength, stability up and into your body, and reach and extend your arms back. Good. Then circle your arms down and come back to your downward facing dog. Take another deep breath in and down dog. Lift the heels up as you inhale, and on your exhale, stick your tongue out and release that energy out through your body. Good. So you can swish your feet back or step your hands forward, bend everything, and then wave that energy out through pelvic floor. Press of your feet out to the crown of your head. Shoulders stay lifted, belly stays lifted, lower yourself down. If it's in your practice, you can come up to your upward facing dog, draw your belly in, draw those front ribs in, squeezing up through the pelvic floor. Ignite that length from the core right up through the top of your head. If you're in your up dog, arms are straighter, you can graze the floor with your thighs there, or come up to the tops of your feet. Really pull up through the pelvic floor. Even from here, you keep lifting, 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 and you can take yourself over one foot and the other back to your downward facing dog from that powerful psoas. Good. Big breath here. Release it out through your tongue again. Let it go. Good. So we're going to have an adventure here and find that core connection. Bend everything. Take your right leg up, lift it. You can always put left knee down. Now you can take right knee to chest, lift it high up on your chest, and then spin. You're either down on the right or on the left knee, or you're spinning to the baby toe side of your left foot. Taking your right knee up as high as you can. If you want to challenge yourself, maybe you can find a balance for a moment. Lift that right arm up, lengthen here, maybe even lengthen the leg all the way. And then take your hand down, pull your knee to chest, and step that foot up the mat. Good. Nice long length out through your spine. Bend the back knee, press into the earth. Pull that length up through inner thighs, through pelvic floor, up through the psoas. Unravel it right out through fingers and the top of your head. Good. Bring your hands to prayer position here. Center your hips over your feet. Find balance for a moment. And then we're going to lean forward, long spine out the crown of the head. And just gently drag those back toes in a little bit closer to you so your stance is a touch shorter. If you have blocks, you can use them. You can bring them close to you. Or you can take fingertips to the floor. So we're having an adventure. I tried to warn you. You're going to take your right fingertips out diagonally from the front foot, out to the right and wider than your shoulder. So we're about 1.5 feet forward and out, maybe even off the mat. And then take your left knee into your chest. Keep that right knee bent. Lengthen all the way out through your crown, out to the top of your head there. No need to ramrod straight that standing legs. Keep a little bend in it so you can get this juicy press, moving energy from the earth up into your spine. Then we're going to unravel, open the left hip, open the left ribs, open everything. Keep that top knee bent if you need to, and then take some length out through that bottom waistline there. Unravel your arm up if you can. Maybe extend the arm, maybe extend the leg. No, higher than the hip there, just parallel to the floor. Keep pressing down to that standing leg foot. Find that earth connection up through that deep core line, which engages the whole myofascial web through the inner thighs and all the way out through your spine. Good, and then circle this top arm down. Gather everything back into center. Curl into that strong core. Good, and then step your foot back. Good, press down into the earth. Unravel your spine back up. Good, find this bend from back foot to front foot. Just step yourself forward. Sometimes the simplest things are the hardest. Good, inhale, lift up, sit back in your chair pose, knees back, hips back, over your heels. Come to center. toes can lift so you can get that connection through the bony parts of your foot, pushing down more active, so you can spring more length, more core support up through the arches of your feet and through your whole spine. One more time, inhale, lift up, back to your chair pose. Sitting bones reach back. This works the legs more, all the muscles around the legs, core support from the glutes for your lumbar, everything lifting and helping to create that spacious, light feeling through your spine. One more time. Good, last time, inhale, lift up. And then exhale, fold down. Legs can stay bent. Give yourself a little break here. Elbows on your thighs is a great one. Creates a little bit more traction. If you push the elbows into the thighs, you get a little bit more space through the sacrum and the low back spine. Hang your head. Receive this release, draining all that effort out to the top of your head. Good, and then press fingertips to shins or hands to the floor. Keep your spine lengthening out through the crown of your head. Keep those knees a little bit bent though. Sitting bones back and fold deeper. Then step your feet back into your downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Bend everything. Left leg lifts. Exhale, pull knee to chest, curl it in. Pull it up toward the chest. And this time you can either put the right knee down or you spin to the baby toe side of your right foot. Lift that left knee up as high as you can. Keep those hips lifted. Maybe unravel the arm here. Maybe unravel the leg here. Find a little moment of pressing towards your edge, wherever that is for you. And then the left hand circles down. The left knee comes to your chest. You stand hip distance. Prepare. Sitting bones slide back. Inhale. Exhale, sweep up through the front of your body back to your standing lunge. Good. Find a little moment here. Find stability over your 2 feet. Draw in and up through the pelvic floor. Squeeze on your exhale. And then just lightly leaning forward. Take those back toes in a little bit closer to you. You can use blocks again or something sturdy, whatever you got. Maybe even just a low bench or chair. Even the wall, if that's where you need to be. And then you take your right thigh towards your chest, and if you're using your hand or your fingertips on the floor there, your left hand comes out diagonally from your left toes there and wider than your shoulder. You pull your knee to your chest, bend everything, especially that standing leg. Watch the standing leg knee isn't driving forward though, pressurizes the knee, keep the hips back. And then open the hips, open the side waist, open and lengthen that underside waist as well. Keep the knee bent, find your balance, breathe, challenging that core connection from the earth all the way up through your inner thighs, all the way out to top fingers and the crown of your head. If you're comfortable with it, if you lengthen out through the sole of the foot, keep pressing down into your standing leg. That's where all the magic happens. Big breath. And then circle everything back to standing and step that back foot behind you. Nice balanced pose here. Feel both feet on the floor. Take yourself up to your standing lunge. One more time. Take a big breath. Good. And then finding this bounce from back foot to front foot. It's what we do all the time when we're walking. Can you keep the hips steady? Can you find your connection into the earth and pulse that energy up the body as you push down into that standing front foot and step the back foot forward. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, sink hips back into your chair pose. Bounce that energy up your spine. Keep breathing with it. Pressing down to the earth. Knees back, hips back. Sweeping that length up your spine. Each time you exhale, one more time. And then fold yourself down. Let your head hang, sway from side to side, release. Wherever you need to be, just hang your head, relax it. And come up halfway. Lengthen your spine. Fold deeper and step yourself back to your downward facing dog. Good. So rolling that energy through your body. Unravel your spine out to the crown of your head. Keep those shoulders strongly lifted. We're not sinking into them. Keep that buoyancy up through the front of your pelvis and low belly as you lower yourself down. Find your breath here at the bottom. Inhale and exhale. Squeeze, lift up through pelvic floor. Unravel. If you can, up into your upward facing dog, opening and lengthening up all sides of your spine. Keep belly lifting, lifting, lifting. Help yourself back over knees or over feet, back to downward facing dog. Then take your time, walk your feet in, slowly massaging and opening up the soles of the feet as you go. And then helping yourself down through your squat position. Use your hands behind you if you need to, down onto your sitting bones. And we're going to finish here with one last belly buster. Funness. We're going to finish here with funness. Now reach out through your fingertips, keep lifted up through that lumbar spine. It's really tempting to dump down into the low back and sacrum here. So open the feet out wider or lengthen the legs more and sit up taller over your sitting bones. Lift and lengthen this part of the body, then lean back. Find your edge. Reach out through your fingertips to counterbalance or hold on the back of your legs or walk hands down the mat. Keep lifted up through that lumbar, and then we reach just between the shoulder blades like a cat pose and start to lower ourselves down slowly, slowly, slowly onto the back. Slowly, 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 slowly. Drawing belly in, coming all the way down onto your back, and then help yourself down there. Shake your legs out, take a big yawning stretch, opening space around your abs, your belly. You can reach one heel longer than the other. I like this one, kind of helps to release the SI joint. Toes toward each other, toes apart. Okay, so a common misconception with the core is that we need to pull it in and push down with that navel and pull it in toward the spine, which often forces us, when we're in these supine positions, to flatten out the lumbar spine, to tuck the tailbone and push out the curve of our low back. Do not do that. You will challenge your core way faster, way more powerfully if you keep that lumbar spine lifted. So for some of you, you have too much of a curve there. So you need to engage up through the pelvic floor, lengthen through that curve more, hug in through those bottom front ribs more, and see if you can kind of find a long, spacious curve, one that's not short and contracted. A long, spacious curve. You should be able to slide about 2 fingers into the space in the small of your low back there when you've got your lumbar curve in a long, strong position. So you can do that palm test again, baby finger on the top of your pelvis there, and thumb on the bottom front ribs, and then exhale, squeeze up through the pelvic floor and feel everything hug in. Top pelvis hugs in to the body more. That's not the same as the tailbone tucking. Top front pelvis hugs in, and then bottom front ribs relax into the body. Back ribs open and expand. Then if you're able to, take the knees up. Sides of your big toes snap together there to engage those inner thigh connections. Then take your hands around the back of your head lightly, so your palms are kind of cupping around the round part of your skull. You can even take your thumbs behind your ears there. It's a nice kind of massage for those often tense neck muscles. And then take your head back into your hand. Really drop the weight of your head back into your hands. And then you will start to fire up the top, the upper abdominals more. And then lift your face up toward the ceiling. So head is dropping back into your hands. So your arms and your core are lifting your face up toward the ceiling, not tucking chin to chest, which stresses out your neck muscles there. So lifting elbows, lifting face up toward the ceiling. We're going to curl knees toward the outer elbows. Keep your lumbar curve. And then lengthen. Head can come back down, knees can come together. And then exhale, curl, and then lengthen. Doing a few of those. Maybe forceful exhale out through your mouth if you like. Keep your head lifted, your head resting into your hands. Finding that inner thigh connection. Good. Trying to lift the top of your shoulder blades up off the floor with the strength of your upper abdominals, pelvic floor squeezing. One more time. Good. And rest your head. Relax your feet onto the floor, and then take them wider than your knees so they come mat's distance apart, and then just kind of windshield wiper your knees one way and the other. Turn your head the opposite direction. You want to make sure you haven't strained your neck muscles. You really are using the strength of your arms and your upper body to lift your head. And then one more time. Now, if you're still building strength in that core, you might find that your pelvis is moving around a lot. So your core connection, the psoas, is there. It's designed to help stabilize the pelvis and the lumbar spine, and to keep that pelvic floor and psoas working to do its job to keep the lumbar spine and the pelvis centered and stable throughout this action, so you're not swishing around from side to side. So if you feel challenged by these poses, keep your feet on the floor and do this next one. Just maybe lift up your mat or put socks on, sliding 1 foot long along the floor, and then the other like this. So you want to concentrate on this area of your body, keep your awareness here, minimize all the movement there, and then just feel that powerful exhale supporting you. If you can, lift your legs, and you can take 1 foot, tap it down onto the floor, and then the other, like this. Or if you're feeling strong enough and adventurous enough, you take your legs longer, you reach one and then the other long. The longer the leg, the more the load on the low belly, so you really want to watch that you're not popping the lumbar up off the floor too much there. Keep the belly lifting in and up. But because you're working your psoas, which is this really thick, strong tenderloin of a muscle there, deep inside the body, the belly will pop up with the legs moving like this. Just want to check that lumbar curve. Okay, so hands around the back of your head, lift your head, face up, and then as you exhale, one elbow toward the opposite knee. Try not to try and touch and get too ambitious with it here. Face still lifting up, arms and upper abdominals doing most of the work. Breathe and find your way. Maybe feet on the floor. Find your way. Keep breathing with it. That belly hugging in and up, feeling that length around the lumbar curve, not flattening the curve. Face lifted, neck muscles relax. Keep breathing and lengthening. Good, lift everything up to center. If you can, release your arms as well. Reaching up, don't need to straighten the legs, knees can be bent. Lift and lengthen, hug belly in, keep that lumbar curve and space around it so knees can stay bent. Make fists, and then take your legs away from you. Reaching, big toe touching, knees can be bent, or long legs. Take your legs away from you, drop belly in, and when you've reached your edge, just take a moment there, pause, breathe, 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 then bring your feet down and help yourself all the way down onto your back. Holy smokes. Shake your legs out, reach your arms up. Take a big yawning stretch, lift your ribs, swish your hips, breathe, and release fully onto your back. Good. So give yourself a moment to listen to your body. Now, you might just spontaneously start to move into some stretches here, and that's what your body needs. So feel free to listen to your body and not me. I will not take it personally. So do what you need to do. I'm going to come into some hip stretches, inner thigh stretches. So ankle to knee pose, right ankle over left knee. Draw the knee up. Don't feel the need to grab a hold of the back of the thigh here. You can rock from side to side a little bit just to wrap that stretch around the glutes and the inner thighs. And then find center on the pelvis so we're not shortening the right waist. Find center, breathe here. Now you can hold the right knee. Take the right knee above the ankle. So you're not pushing the right knee away from you, which twists the knee, which is not good. So you want to keep that knee in, and then take the weight of your hands and then press the thigh bone deeper into the hip joint, which releases the SI joint, and massage out that SI joint and the low back. place your left foot down. Hold the back of your right thigh. Keep the knee bent here, and then press your thigh out against your hand. Take the shoulders back, hug the belly in, use that core connection even here. Beam the heel up, send the thigh down into the hip joint more, and release the psoas as you lengthen out through hamstrings, even through calves. And this is a little personal favorite of mine, opening the side of the legs here. I'm going to take the right leg over diagonally to the left without picking the hip up. Drop the hip back and lengthen this whole outer line of your right leg from the baby toe side of your foot and back to the outer greater trochanter here, the outside of your leg bone and your hip. IT bend. And back to center, roll your ankle one way and then the other, and then roll your leg in and out. Get that wrapping stretch for the hamstrings. There's 3 lines of hamstrings here that are stretching and opening as you roll the leg, and then release it. Shake it out. Other side, right foot down, left ankle over knee, draw knee to chest, rock, just massage out your back, let it go, no need to hold on. And then if you liked it, you hold on to the knee and you take the knee up a little bit closer. You take the thigh into the hip joint a little deeper and you breathe there. Breathe some space into the hip joint. Relax those hip flexors. And take some deep breaths and send the breath. Let it run along your spine, along your nervous system, soothing, releasing. Inhales to create spaciousness, to create ease, invite in fresh energy, and exhale out the old. Good, and then take that right foot down, extend and reach up through the left heel, holding the back of the thigh, no need to straighten. Press the thigh into the hands, away from your chest, and take your hands to guide the thigh down into the hip joint more. Deeply setting that thigh bone into the hip joint does wonders for releasing SI imbalances and hip flexor tension in the front of the hip there. Breathe, lengthening through your hamstrings, up through your heel, down through your sitting bone. And then lean it over for the IT band stretch, over to the right, keeping the back of the pelvis rooted down, navel hugging in. Pull the baby toe side of this foot back and stretch and lengthen this whole outer line of the leg. And then bring it back to center, roll your ankles, release that, swish your leg in and out, opening and lengthening all of the hamstrings. And then release your leg down and shake it out and bounce it out. Good, another big yawning stretch to open the belly, the chest, and then listen to your body, do whatever it is you need to do. And when you're ready to come into your Shavasana, your final resting pose here, relaxing your whole body long, arms out to the side, legs long, fully resting, back in neutral, shoulder blades underneath you, palms nice and open to receive all that energy, all that strength, all that heat that you just brought into your bodies, that heat that creates sort of the fires that mold and burn away old patterns, old stuck energy, and help to reset you into your aligned and centered self. Taking a few deep breaths to start, just exhaling however you're comfortable. Fully relaxing. Staying warm here, you can put on your cozy socks, you can put on your blanket. And then watch your breath get lighter and easier, like a sleeping baby. So you fully relax, fully surrender to the support of the earth. Let tension dissolve, fully melt away. deepen and move out to your fingers and your toes, wiggling your fingers, rolling your ankles. And then if it feels good, take a big yawning stretch and lengthen. Inhale down to the belly and exhale side out. And then taking your time, draw your knees up slowly to your chest. Give them a little rock or circle, and massaging again into the back of your pelvis there and your low back. And then help yourself onto one side into your fetal position and just rest there, pause. Fully releasing. Then as softly as you can, use your hands, spiral yourself back up to your easy seat. And it should be easeful, however you're sitting. If you want to, you sit back up on a cushion so you can elevate your hips, your legs can relax, and you can sit right over your sitting bones. Draw your hands onto your knees there, and just take a moment to reflect on your experience, whatever that was. Notice how you felt when you began. Remember. And then just notice how you're feeling now. Notice the benefits of your practice. Give yourself a moment to fill yourself with gratitude. Thank yourself for challenging yourself, for kind of leaning into the discomfort that arises through yoga so that you can grow more resilient with whatever life gives you. You grow stronger and more connected at center to your core. Your core isn't just in the physical body, it's also an energetic spiritual core. It's your source, that's your source of truth, that's your source of energy. And you can always come back, circle back to it. It's always there for you. One more moment. Breathing deeply down into your belly and filling yourself with love and gratitude. And I float your arms up. Exhale, bring your hands to prayer, bow in. And we'll finish with one Om. Lift your head, take a deep breath in, or right down into the core of you. Om.